Hey everyone, it's Tim from Linessa Farms Specialty and Heirloom Livestock. We got a quick video for you today. Our computer system is still down, so we're kind of doing these videos on the spot with our cell phone. So it's not going to be the same format that you're used to, but we're trying to make do. We got the computer system coming in a few days, so things should get back to normal relatively soon. In the meantime, like I said, just want to make some short, quick videos to show you how to deal with some odds and ends that you may be experiencing on your farm. Tonight, I thought when we bring our show lambs out to feed them, I could show you how we initially halter break our show lambs and an easy setup that you can do at your house just to help you get settled. You know, a lot of people think, well, do I need to learn or do I need to have my animals learn how to be halter broke if I'm not going to show them? And I think the answer to that is yes, especially with your replacement ewes and your breeding bucks, or excuse me, your breeding does or your breeding rams. You know, if they're used to having a halter on them and they know how to behave when they're on a halter, it'll really pay dividends later on throughout their life cycle. And some people think, well, this is something that only show people do and this is expensive, and that's simply not true. If you come over here and look really quick, before we bring the sheep out here, our lambs out here, I'll just show you. It's a little muddy right now here in Indiana. It's like our fourth winter that we're having now. It's May and it's like in the high 40s. So you can see I simply put in two posts. I put in a post here and a post down there, and I screwed 2x4s here horizontally that I can simply hang these feed buckets from, and I cut some panels in between so the animals can see one another and they have the competition of eating, but they're not trying to kill each other and they can't get to each other's feed. These animals always eat better when there's competition. So even if you only have one show animal, for example, or one animal that you're trying to feed out, always bring a buddy with them. Don't ever feed them alone. They do so much better when eating next to someone. They kind of see them out of the corner of their eye, and they go through this instinctual feeding program to where they'll say, man, I've got to hurry up and eat because if I don't, that one's going to get my food. And so they just do better. The other nice thing about having these different boards is that as they grow, I can simply raise these up as they get taller. So it works out really well. With that being said, I'll come back here in just a second after we get the lambs. We'll show you how to put a halter on, and we'll show you how we tie them off. Actually, before we go, the other one thing that I wanted to bring up is you notice there's enough room that I can walk behind here, or that someone can walk behind here. And this is always important too. So while the animals are feeding, one individual can actually stand back here and actually manage everybody and keep their eye on everybody. Usually we got someone in back and someone in front. You don't ever want to tie an animal up or halter an animal up without leaving and leave them unattended. Someone always needs to be here. It's just best for safety's sake. So with that being said, and now that you know how to make a $20 lamb or goat stand, let's go over and get some animals and bring them back and talk a little bit more. All right, so here we are. We have these two ewe lambs. We have a black-faced ewe lamb and a white-faced ewe lamb, Suffolk and Dorset, and they're just now getting used to being tied up. This is, they're not good at walking yet, and it takes an extensive amount of time to get them over here, but we're reinforcing that they're being haltered and walked with being fed. We make sure that they're hungry when it's time to come over here. And so every day that we go into the pen and we get them and we put the halter on them, they're going to associate that halter with feeding, and it helps them to do a lot better. Now we have a nice loose kind of a overhand hitch here that I can untie relatively quickly if I need to. And I have enough slack on her so she can back up and move away and kind of move around a little bit, but not enough slack that she can get loose. So I don't want her to feel necessarily like she's tied up, but when she goes to move, I want her to be aware of the fact that, okay, something's on me and I can't get away. Some may fight it a lot, some may not fight it at all. But again, we want to make sure that, you know, we try to keep as quiet as possible. We don't make a lot of sound. We use positive reinforcement. We don't want to punish the animal. If they start flopping around and pitching a fit, we just let them pitch their fit, make sure that they do it safely. When they're done, we get them up, get them back on the feed, and let them continue to eat. This will only take a day or two until they get used to it, and once they get used to it, then we can move on to actually walking them. So that's it in a nutshell. We have a graduated cup over here with some, see how I moved too quick and it spooked them, so you got to be careful how fast you move. So I have my little my little cup here that shows me about how much that I have. At this point, I'm not going to feed them more than about 2 pounds a head, and I can just pour that in there. This is some of our special show lamb feed mix, 20% mix that I mix here on the farm. But again, nice and slow, nice and quiet. I don't want to spook them. I don't want to upset them. As you can see, you're going to have some that do really well, and you're going to have some that don't do well at all. And once we're done doing this, after, like I said, a few days, they won't pay any mind to that, and they'll just kind of do their thing, and me walking around them and moving around them isn't going to bother them at all. All right, so the next thing we're going to talk about is I'm going to actually show you how to halter them. And as you can see, that's why we stay here, and that's why we stay close. You notice I had it tied enough that it slowed her down, but I didn't have it tied so tight that it strangled her or caused an issue. And this is another reason why we don't ever want you to leave them unattended, because they can hurt themselves or hurt someone else. So with that being said, here in a few minutes after we're done feeding, I'm going to show you actually how to apply the halter to them, and we'll take it from there. All right, so this is a typical rope halter, nylon rope halter. You can buy these at any of the big box stores. You can even learn how to make these yourself. The important thing to know is sometimes you're going to get these and they're going to be wadded up in a ball, and you're going to open them up and you're going to look at them and you're going to say, how does this thing work? Which way does this go on? Is there a right way? Is there a wrong way? And yes, there is. So the rope itself going through the loop always wants to go along the bottom of the jaw. So when you're tightening up, it's tightening under the jaw. You don't ever want to have it tightening over the nose. Some people accidentally do this to where it's tightening over top of the nose, or they put it on the wrong side and it's tightening up over the nose. The thing to remember is it's always going, the lead itself is always going to be on the animal's left, and it's going to go underneath the chin, not over top of the nose. So before I put it on the animal, and I like to loosen it up, I'll slip this over the muzzle first, slip this over back behind the ears, and go ahead and tie them up. If you come over here, I'm going to pull this Dorset out and I'll show you how she's done. You want to give me her? Okay, I'll get it myself. Thank you. So this is the Dorset, and you can see how she's done here. So again, we've got over the ears. You can do this either way, over the ears or over the muzzle, and then tighten up, and you can see how it tightens up underneath her chin, just like that. That way we're not cutting off her primary air supply or anything if she needs. So she doesn't like that halter. I like to keep her head held up and just hold a little bit of tension and just let her know that that halter's there and that she's not going to get away from it. She may flop herself on the ground, she may pitch a fit, and that's okay. If she does, I'll just let her fall down and then get back up. I don't ever want to yank on her and try to pull her along. They have brakes better than you have pulling. And this is a prime example of why we always want to keep both the animals together, because if you don't, they tend to pitch a fit. So you always want to keep them together. So my partner over there is going to untie that animal and bring her over here. And again, as I'm walking the sheep, if she's dragging, I won't pull her. So if I pull and she's putting on the brakes, I just slowly let her go. Sometimes if they get stuck and they don't want to move, you can actually loosen up on the halter a little bit and go behind them and give them a little tap. They're naturally going to want to get away from you. And this will all kind of fix itself after a few days. So anyways, that's haltering kind of in a nutshell. This is kind of the first step in getting the animals used to being haltered. And as time progresses, we'll go over this more with you and kind of get into some deeper weeds about how to walk them exactly. We'll learn about bracing and other things. So that's it for today. I'm Tim from Linessa Farms, Specialty and Heirloom Livestock. Thanks for joining us again today, and I look forward to seeing you again next time.